evening. You're watching Mission 2024. I'm Preeti Choudhry, and we come to you live right in front of this iconic location, the old Parliament. There's going to be a transition tomorrow from the old to the new, and I'm privileged to be reporting here this evening to actually be one of those journalists who actually sees the House functioning for the final time. But having said that, a lot going on where the special session of Parliament is concerned. There's an elephant in the room in the Parliament today. It could be addressed within the cabinet meeting. Will women reservation bill be on the table? Well, we're going to get you the latest. First up, let me take you through the headlines. Special Parliament session kicks off. Prime Minister Modi promises historic decisions in the new session. Prime Minister Modi pays rich tribute to doyens of Parliament, says India indebted to Nehru, Shastri, Indira, Vajpayee. Remembers his first term as MP in Lok Sabha.
इसी सदन में पंडित नेहरू का एट द स्ट्रोक ऑफ मिडनाइट की गूंज हम सबको प्रेरित करती रहेगी.
Prime Minister Modi's big message to the opposition netas as special session kicks off, says time to stop Rona Dhona and get back to work.
उमंग और उत्साह के वातावरण में मिले. रोने धोने के लिए बहुत समय होता है, करते रहिए.
Trouble in BJP AIDMK alliance in Tamil Nadu. AIDMK leader Jai Kumar declares there is no alliance with the Saffron Party, blames BJP Tamil Nadu chief Annamalai for the discord. Tamil Nadu Governor Ravi hits out at DMK, says jihadis want to eradicate Sanatan Dharma. Yoga Guru Ramdev says abusing Hinduism will fail in 2024. BJP accuses Congress of plagiarizing former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran's theme song as their poll tune. Says Congress wants to convert MP into Pakistan. All right, viewers, anticipation, speculation, suspense as the special session is on. Of course, both houses have right now will only reconvene tomorrow. The news break that we are getting in is the cabinet meeting is underway on the sidelines of the special session, and the big question, will the women reservation bill be considered? We're going to get you all the latest coming in. Let's go back in terms of just what has been the trajectory where the women reservation bill comes into question. It was introduced, cleared by the Rajya Sabha in 2010. Then it went to the Lok Sabha. It lapsed because it did not clear. However, the bill is still alive as it had seen passage through the Rajya Sabha. Now, the big question is the government actually contemplating to revive the old bill which is already arrived? If they're going to make changes to it, they'll have to bring it through the route of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha again. It needs to be retabled. Or are they going to go ahead with the old bill? Or, you know, the big question, because nobody quite knows, this is all a matter of speculation, in the realm of speculation. Is the government even thinking of a women reservation bill? But in the sea of possibilities, this has been the front runner. But what I can tell you, and my colleague Polumi Saha is joining us for more. Polumi Saha, tracking the cabinet meeting which is underway. Take us through, Polumi, on what we can expect. A lot going on in terms of speculation as the cabinet meets this evening.
That's right. The cabinet meeting is currently underway. The Prime Minister just reached a short while ago, and then, of course, the cabinet meet commenced. It's obviously, drawn a lot of attention because of this whole suspense around whether there is more to the legislative agenda as far as the special session is concerned. Because remember that the government, when it shared the legislative agenda for the session, clearly stated that this is a tentative list of business. This is not an exhaustive list, and that's why there's been a lot of speculation. The Prime Minister referring to historic decisions that will be taken during this special session. The need to call this a session in itself again, because this is not a regular session. While the government is not saying whether it's one or the other per se, the opposition, of course, questioning technicalities. Clearly, the fact that the government has called this session for a very, very specific purpose, and it doesn't look like any of the legislative agenda which it has shared with members of parliament could be part of that special agenda, and hence the speculation has only grown as to what is that agenda. And like you were pointing out, much of it seems to be centered around women's reservation bill at the moment, Preeti.
Well, much of it centered around the women reservation bill. Will this be the historic decision that the Prime Minister was speaking of this morning when he said it's a short session but will be of historic consequence? But, Paulomi, I want to bring you an interesting. Right now, there's no indication whether it is the women reservation bill. But over the last 2 weeks, there's been so much speculation in terms of what could be the surprise that the government brings. And if it, in fact, is the women reservation bill, the opposition seems to be reading into that and already trying to take the lead or the credit with it happened. Sonia Gandhi's letter to the Prime Minister, where she put out the agenda of the Congress on what they would hope would be discussed, and women reservation bill was one of them. And after that, we've seen possibly every India Alliance party talk of pushing for the women reservation bill.
Well, as far as the agenda that was shared by Sonia Gandhi was concerned, it did share many issues, but specific to women's reservation bill, it was, of course, first of all, much of it, the noise was raised in recent times was by K. Kavita, BRS MLC. She, of course, wrote to 47 political parties as well and said that women's reservation bill should be introduced. She's been, of course, raising her voice for it since March this year when she sat on a hunger strike at Jantar Mantar. K. Chandrasekhar Rao, the Chief Minister of Telangana, wrote to Prime Minister Modi to introduce the women's reservation bill in Parliament during this special session. He wrote on Friday. There has been a lot of pressure from the opposition parties that the government use this opportunity of this special session to introduce the women's reservation bill. They raised it in that all-party meeting which was convened by the government yesterday. Ahead of the session, they raised it on the floor of both houses as they spoke about, today's subject of discussion, which was the parliamentary journey of the last 75 years. But clearly, nobody is outrightly from within the government circles, while nobody is saying for a fact that this is indeed, the agenda that the government has up its sleeve at the moment. Nobody is clearly denying it at the moment, which is why it's leading to so much speculation. The Prime Minister's reference to a historic decision, the Prime Minister's reference to women and their participation in our parliamentary democracy over the last 75 years, the fact that the women's reservation bill is one of those unfinished agendas as far as the BJP under Narendra Modi is concerned. It was in the election manifesto for 2014. It was in the election manifesto of 2019. All of this, if you start joining the dots, it is adding fuel to fire. But clearly, we're likely to find out what exactly is that agenda come Wednesday, when the government actually gets down to business in terms of the legislative agenda for the special session of Parliament, Preeti.
Well, appreciate you joining us, Paulomi. Well, right now, at least what is in the public is 8 bills where the legislative agenda of the Parliament is concerned. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing historic, where decision in that context which the Prime Minister said. So will it be the women reservation bill? Well, it's found itself in the manifesto of not just the BJP but many political parties. But most of the same political parties have never quite bitten that bullet per se. But has the time come? Interesting to note, in 2023, when, if you go all the way back to the Constituent Assembly of 1947, at that point of time, women reservation was deemed unnecessary. But we'll dwell on it, if at all. It is the agenda where on Wednesday is concerned, because viewers, it's been a short special session which has been called. Today was supposed to be a discussion on 75 glorious years or the journey of the Indian Parliament. Tomorrow they're going to see the switchover or the transition from the old to the new, which is the Parliament building right behind me, handing over to the new Parliament building, and this one turns into a museum. And then business is going to be conducted over the course of 3 days, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that is it when we'll have an understanding of what is in store where the historic decision that the Prime Minister referred to is concerned. Having said that, today the Prime Minister might have made political insinuations outside Parliament in the beginning of the session, but inside Parliament, inside the Lok Sabha, the speech of the Prime Minister today was inclusive, it was magnanimous, it wanted to take everybody along, and also nostalgic, going back to the very inception of the Parliament, where the Prime Minister touched upon the speech of Pandit Nehru, to even himself walking into, the corridors, the hallowed corridors, if I could say, of the Parliament, and also thanking the journalists who've covered the Parliament for years. Listen in to this, and we are back with more.
Day one of the much-awaited special session of Parliament was a walk down the memory lane, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi setting the stage for the transition to the new building. Prime Minister Modi on Monday recalled the emotional moment of his entering the Parliament building as an MP for the first time in 2014.
मैं पहली बार जब संसद का सदस्य बना और पहली बार एक सांसद के रूप में इस भवन में मैंने प्रवेश किया, तो सहज रूप से मैंने इस संसद भवन के दौर पक्ति पर अपना शीश झुका करके इस लोकतंत्र के मंदिर को श्रद्धा भाव से नमन करते हुए मैंने पैर रखा था। वो पल मेरे लिए भावनाओं से भरी हुई थी। भारत के लोकतंत्र की ताकत है, भारत के सामान्य मानवी की लोकतंत्र के प्रति श्रद्धा का प्रतिबिंब है कि रेलवे प्लेटफॉर्म पर गुजारा करने वाला एक गरीब परिवार का बच्चा पार्लियामेंट पहुंच गया।
All right, we're getting in visuals of the cabinet meet, which is currently underway. The Prime Minister chairing it. He just left here from the Parliament a short while ago and right now has reached and chairing that meeting. These visuals filtering in. It would be interesting to note as the Prime Minister meets his cabinet on what's up for consideration. What can we expect in terms of discussion there? One big point which is coming out right now and seeming to suggest is the women reservation bill. Is that what is being considered? In what form is it being considered? I want to cut across back to my colleague Polumi Saha, who's joining us for more on the cabinet meeting as it takes place. Polumi, visuals streaming in of the cabinet meeting being chaired by the Prime Minister. Polumi, can you hear me? All right, we seem to have lost our connection with Polumi, but I'm going to try and ask our other reporters to join us right now, and let's quickly take you through these visuals that are coming in of the cabinet meeting, which is right now underway, chaired by the Prime Minister. These visuals there, what to expect out of it? What can we expect in terms of the cabinet meet? Well, that's the big question. Lots of speculation, anticipation through the day, and it was called this afternoon is what we were given to understand. Before that, of course, the special session of Parliament which was on, and Now, seemingly, what we are given to understand, viewers, is that it will be the women reservation bill. There was so much speculation a while ago, and of course, what happens in the cabinet practically stays in the cabinet. So, I doubt a word will even get out on what is being discussed or what's up for discussion. All right, but what we can say for sure, it's more than what is being designated in terms of parliamentary business over the course of the next 5 days, which has been made public. It's a little more than just those 8 bills that has been made public, especially with what the Prime Minister said, that a historic decision will be made. What is going to be that historic decision? Listen in to the Prime Minister.
संसद का ये सत्र, इस पार्श्वभूमि में संसद का ये सत्र, ये सही है कि सत्र छोटा है, लेकिन समय के हिसाब से ये बहुत बड़ा है। ऐतिहासिक निर्णयों का एक सत्र है। ये सत्र की एक विशेषता ये तो है कि आप 75 साल की यात्रा अब नए मुकाम से आरंभ हो रही है। जिस मुकाम पर 75 साल की यात्रा की, वो अत्यंत प्रेरक पल, और अब नए स्थान पर उस यात्रा को आगे बढ़ाते समय नए संकल्प, नई ऊर्जा, नया विश्वास और समय सीमा में 2047 में इस देश को डेवलप कंट्री बना करके रहना है।
All right, let's quickly get in a word from my colleague Poulomi Saha, who's joining us, as well as Javed Ansari, political analyst, Manisha Priyam, political analyst, getting a word from them. But Poulomi, visual streaming in right now of the Prime Minister chairing the cabinet meet.
That's right. You can see images of that cabinet meeting, which in fact we've accessed. Basically, the Prime Minister is chairing this very important cabinet meeting. Those are the words from our sources. It's not what I'm saying at the moment, Preeti. Those pictures shared with us with the words important cabinet meeting underway. So expect that whatever decision this cabinet is signing off as we speak upon right now is going to be something very historic, is what is aimed for this special session of Parliament, as we've been saying through this day, since of course we learned from our sources that this cabinet meeting had been called for at 6:30 p.m. this evening. So this cabinet meeting will turn out to be very crucial, because this cabinet right now is meeting and signing off and approving a very important decision, which will probably be brought to the special session of this Parliament, which has already commenced today on Wednesday, when the government takes up its legislative agenda.
All right, Poulomi, appreciate you joining us. Let's quickly cut across to our guests for a quick word in. Javed Ansari, what do you make? Is it going to be the women reservation bill, something that has found itself in the manifestos of a lot of parties, but no real party has shown much intent when it comes down to clearing it?
So let me just correct you. This bill was introduced in 2009 under the UPA government, and that's the bill, if at all the government musters up the courage to take it forward. That's the bill that will be voted on. 1. 2, it's hazardous. At least I have learned in my experience, it's hazardous to second guess this Prime Minister and this government. The only thing predictable about Prime Minister Modi's government is its unpredictability. I don't have too many friends in the BJP, and whatever little few of them that I have, I tried to contact them this evening, and they in turn were asking me, "Aap bataiye kya hai?" And the organizer headline is perhaps a pointer. The organizer, as we all know, is the mouthpiece of the RSS, and it says, "Guess what?" So everybody has been kept guessing, but the Prime Minister has laid the groundwork in his remarks in the car park of Parliament. It says, "Itihasik nirnay hoga." historic decisions. So he set the stage. The Prime Minister believes in dramatic decisions, whether it's demonetization, 370. So I won't be surprised if he comes up with something surprising.
Well, itihasik decision hoga, historic decision. But Manisha Prem, I want to bring you in. You know, it's a little surreal. You've been somebody who's tracked the parliament proceedings for a while right now. But a bill which is time, or women reservation, the time seems to have come, if at all. This is all conjecture. In 2023, when in 1947, the Constituent Assembly thought it unnecessary. And even after that, the bill might have been introduced in 2009 by the Congress and the UPA, but many allies of the UPA were not on board. Therefore, it never got cleared in the Lok Sabha.
Yes, even now some of the regional parties such as the BJD seem to be talking about the need for the bill. And in fact, all regional parties now talk about women being a very important part of the electorate, sans caste, the Chuppa voters, the silent voters of Nitish Kumar, the Labharthis of Uttar Pradesh. So albeit women have become a vote bank, so to say, for most political parties, regional or national, the women's reservation bill has been a no-no. Now, I do feel that in this parliament an announcement can be made, whether it will be able to clear that roadblock that appears, because remember, as much as there is talk of women's equality and gender equality, there is also the reliance even of the BJP on strongmen and their politics, especially to the north of the Vindhyas in the state of Uttar Pradesh. We've seen how difficult it's been for the party to take any action on somebody like Brij Bhushan Charan Singh. So you cannot on the one hand have a real politic which is based on reliance on strongmen, and on the other side talk about a women's reservation bill. As far as Atihasik Nirnay is concerned, I do believe that the Prime Minister will talk about a few things that he spoke about even from the Red Fort on 15th of August. Perhaps a roadmap that could be about taking India to 2047 as a developed nation. Now, what that could be, is that an economic import? That I do not know, but I think that will be one. My second guess is that the Prime Minister openly spoke against the politics of Tushtikaran. He said development yes, but Tushtikaran no. Now, what I can hazard a guess at best is that perhaps some form of the CAA implementation, granting citizenship rights to Hindus who've come from the neighboring countries, and that's purely a guess. So some amount of implementation of the promises that the Prime Minister made from the ramparts of the Red Fort. Now, what the exact dimensions will be, it's only for the Prime Minister who can lay this bare in front of the Parliament. But this will be a clear messaging of his leadership style and his imprint on the BJP as its most important political leader. And I don't know exactly what is in store, but I do think it's 2047, India is a developed nation, and also against the politics of Tushtikaran, to distinguish the BJP from other political parties.
It's interesting because Manisha Prem, you're coming up with what could be the probabilities. What we seem to suggest right now, is in all probabilities it could be the women reservation bill. But no, we don't want to, say anything for sure, because this is all conjecture. But what we're given to understand that it points towards the women reservation bill.